Hello and welcome to this webinar. And as mentioned in this webinar, we will discuss some integration techniques which are available within SAP Business One, through which SAP Business One can be connected with the third-party systems that are available in the market and widely used. So as we know, SAP Business One is a popular ERP system for SMEs. Now often for different kind of businesses, different kind of business requirement, SMEs also use additional system like e-commerce systems, for an example CRM systems. There can be some supply chain management systems, and to connect these two systems there are always a need so that the data can be passed back and forth between the two systems, make the business more agile and more profitable. So these are some integration techniques which are widely used, and in this webinar our expert will cover up the architecture, methodologies, techniques related to DI server, DI API and B1WS, as well as he will also showcase some demo using our SAP Business One demo installation. Will show you some these kind of API calls as well. So Abhishek will be the person who will be showcasing you this today's session. He's product head from InSync Solutions, looking after our core product APPSeCONNECT, which is an integration platform between e-commerce and ERP system. He's also a Microsoft MVP in client app dev since 2011, working on C#, WPF and Azure. So he's also author of a number of books, and he's a renowned public speaker and technology buff. So he is going to cover the presentation here, and also will showcase some demo sessions to you. This webinar is organized by InSync, which is a product company, and our integration platform APPSeCONNECT is able to connect e-commerce with the ERP systems using the widely used integration techniques of SAP Business One like DI server and DI API, and we are covering up today's session on these topics. So I'd like to hand over the session to Abhishek now, so that he can move with the topics and discussion.
I want to thank Shubhojit for briefing a smart introduction of me and also our product APPSeCONNECT. So today what I am going to discuss is all about how you can practically integrate your system with the SAP Business One ERP systems. So first of all, before going to further, let's try to understand what an SAP B1 is. It's an ERP system which is widely accepted, and people use it often, and to use this, your data need to be the ERP system actually stores the data of everything that your business process needs, and our main motto is to integrate the SAP B1 with the third-party applications. So I won't go too deep into what exactly the SAP B1 is. It's not our idea of this demonstration. What I'll do, I'll give you an understanding how the integration of your business application with a SAP system works. So as the point suggests, I'll not go deep into the first point. Let's go further with the second point. Now the slide, it shows the different techniques of third-party system integration with SAP B1. Now why third-party integration is needed? Now if you are running a business, you are always dealing with data. Data is the key of any system. There is no system exists that can solve every problem that your business needs. For example, say you want your products to be showcased to an external site. Say you want some really great reports regularly, which perhaps the SAP system cannot provide. Say you already have a legacy system and want to use both the systems parallelly, or say you have an external CRM system which gets leads and you want them to be transferred to your SAP system. These kind of business problem requires integration of your external application with the SAP Business One system. So now SAP, yeah, okay. So now SAP gives SAP actually admits these problems that SAP cannot solve every business problem that exists in this world. So SAP provides integration systems so that anyone can easily integrate your third-party systems with the SAP applications. So there are commonly three kinds of integration that I am going to discuss today. The first one is the DI API. Now DI API is a free integration system provided by SAP installation. It uses COM APIs as suggested in the first bullet. It uses COM interfaces and you can directly communicate with any of the SAP business objects that exist with these that exist in SAP systems. And the data that you transfer from your integration platform to SAP system is through the COM interfaces. The DI server, on the other hand, uses SOAP messages through a COM interface which is provided by the SAP system also, and these SOAP messages are standard interfaces, standard XML formats, or standard envelopes which you can pass to the COM interface, and the COM interface will deserialize and understand the exact XML and put it or get the data from the SAP business systems. Now the third one is actually not an integration system, it's actually a wrapper to DI server. So say you want your third-party application to be outside the system where SAP is installed. In that case, you can host your data to an IIS using the B1WS interfaces, and those interfaces will be available from anywhere. So B1WS is just a wrapper to the DI server API, and gives you a chance to connect your SAP business system from outside your local box. Now moving to the next slide. Now what is a DI, SAP BI DI server? B1 DI server, sorry. So DI server is a data integration server API which enables you to communicate with your backend ERP system using standard SOAP protocols. Now by SOAP protocol I mean the standard messaging format is actually SOAP, while the underlying mechanism how you are connecting your system with SAP Business One is through the COM interfaces. Now we will show you how you can actually integrate your third-party system with the SAP Business One. But for time being, what I could say, the SAP uses the standard SOAP protocols, and the data that you need to pass through these COM interface should be in UTF-18 format encoding, UTF-16, sorry, and the XML need to be passed through the common interface called interact or batch interact. Now this is the architectural diagram, how the SAP system, how your application and it can interact with the SAP system. So there is a service that gets installed when you install your SAP Business One in your system. That service is actually managed by a licensing server, and that provides an interface which is exposed through a DLL, sbodi underscore server.dll. Now this DLL is actually a COM interface and is written in C++, Visual C++, I would rather say. And this DLL actually provides two interfaces. One is interact and another is batch interact. Now interact is actually communicating, passing your data one by one in sequential manner, while batch interact you can provide multiple envelopes, multiple data elements, and combine them together and pass the whole data in a single request. Now the advantages could be it supports heavy duty. It supports parallel connections. No, it's not this. Oh. It supports parallel connections. That means you can connect to you can create more than one session and connect your SAP Business One with your application. Okay, fine. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Let's see what. Now, what is the advantages? I've already told you that SAP B1 DI server interfaces supports batch operation. It is a heavy duty. That means you can parallelly write and read data from the SAP system, and it processes so fast that it actually the serialization and deserialization of data is negligible. It also bypasses the IIS interfaces that we will discuss on B1WS, and you can also pass data in a single session and pass multiple transactions. So now let's move on the demo. So I have just started in Visual Studio, as my favorite language is C#. So I'll first start a project and create an application using C#. So let's name it something SAP B1 demo sample. Okay. So I'm creating a Windows application. So I'll show you how you can integrate your Windows application with SAP Business One. So now let's move to the toolbox. Let me drag two buttons. So for simplicity, I'll do an integration of items. So the first button, I should say get items, and the second button I would say okay, I'd put two text boxes. Let me put a label, say item code. Let's put another label and say it item name, and two text boxes. Text box 1, let's name it properly so as to understand in code. txt item code, and another text box, I'd name it as fine. So I have two buttons. One will get an item from SAP system, and another is to feed an item to an SAP system. Now let's write code to do the same. Now before we start, we need to add reference to the DLL that I have mentioned in the architecture. So let's go to SAP. It's of course a COM DLL. So I would add SAP Business One DI API DLL. So the Visual Studio will create an interop to this DLL. So the interop is the SAP Bob's COM. So it's an interop. You can see it here. So whenever you are calling this DLL, the interfaces of this DLL, it will automatically p-invoke and call the SAP system. Now let's double click on feed item. So we have two buttons. Let's name it properly. The first button I'll name as DI API get items, and the second one I'll name as okay. So these two buttons are there. Let's remove these for time being, and sorry, I need to remove it first. Once. So after removing them, I can it's already cleared, so I can double click. So it's now named properly to make you understand better. Now I have created some text here, some code samples here. So I'll put first the DI API thing. So there should be a connection. So now to connect to a DI server, to an SAP B1, you need an using statement of SAP BOPSCOM, which is the interrupt that we have just added. So this is here. So you need this using statement, and then you need a company object. The company object is defined inside this namespace, and I have already provided some of the credentials that I need to use while connecting to my SAP Business One system that is residing here. Let me give you a brief understanding what it says. The company.server is actually the server name that I am using. So this is the local server name that is assigned to this system. The language in which the SAP B1 is configured to. My SAP Business One is installed using MS SQL 2005. If you are using anything else, you can directly get it from here. You have an option to use DB2, MaxDB, 2012, MS SQL, Sybase, etc. And the DB username and DB password is the username and password that is provided with my SQL server. So if so this is the username and password, and this is server name. And the username and password by which my SAP you can log into your SAP system is the manager and QRT. Now when you call connect, it will say 0 when it successfully connected, or otherwise it will say an error. Now to add an item, I put some code here. To make it really fast, I have already put the code in a code snippet block. So to add an item, you need to first connect. This is the statement which connects to your SP system. oCompany.getBusinessObject. You have a lot of business objects listed here using an enumeration. You can see bridge, record set, account statements, activity status. There are a lot of business objects. So what I am interested of is O items. So items is the items that you can insert in your SAP Business One. So this is the code, and I am getting the item code and item name from the text boxes that I have provided here. And then add will add the item to the SAP. And similarly to fetch an item, it's the same way. You can get by key, or there are other options like get as XML, etc. So while I get an item by key, my keys need to be provided in the UI, and the item name will be fetched from the SAP system. So let's start this application. Let me insert one data. Item code can be SAP B1 demo 1, and item name could be APPSeCONNECT. So I am feeding that item into the SAP system. So it will first connect, and then it says connected successfully, and it feeds feeds the item into the SAP system. Okay, now let's see where it actually there or not. So if I put SAP demo 1 here, oops, okay, let's put a breakpoint here and try to run it again. Okay, 1 second. Okay, let's first connect. Okay, it seems I have actually put the data in a wrong function. So it's a feed item, so I should say like this. I need to put this in here, and actually what I was doing is feed item is actually the get object. So now it should work. SAP B1 APPSeCONNECT. The feed item will feed the data to SAP. Connected successfully, and it should feed. So if I try to find it, it's there. So using DI API, what I did, I actually inserted a data into the SAP system. In a similar way, if I delete this and if I get from our DI API interface, I can just sorry, it seems I haven't disconnected the company, so I need to restart this. So let's start again. This one I am getting. So it's actually got the data from your SAP system. So this is how you can interact with your SAP system using the COM interfaces. Now you can see these get business object actually returns a dynamic object, and you need to cast it, or otherwise you can also use dynamic objects and put data at runtime. So now let's move to the slides again. So now the DI APIs. We have already showed how you can interact with the DI server. Now what I am doing is I am using DI API to interact. Now DI API is a free API system that is provided with SAP Business One, and you can pass data through the COM interfaces. You have a number of COM interfaces, the DI product, sales, etc., and you need to use SAP bobs.com.dll to reference the data and pass it to the DI API systems. Now this is how DI API works. In case of DI APIs, the SAP bobs.com.dll is the main DLL that is used, and the DI API will expose the core functionalities using items, business partners, invoices, sales order, purchase order, price list, messages, etc. And these interfaces will help you to connect to your backend ERP system. Now, what are the advantages? The advantages, it's very easy to implement. The interfaces are already available, so you can plug in your interfaces with the objects, and the objects can directly communicate the data through the comment APIs. But there are limitations. It actually requires serialization and deserialization of objects. That's why the interfaces, even though it's tightly coupled, the interfaces require serialization, and it's very slow in processing. So the data will be passed in one by one basis, and batch operation is not supported. So let's move ahead and do a demo on DI server. Now let me add another form here. I'm adding a Windows form. Let's make it FRM DI. Okay. Now to get to the simplicity, let's copy the entire thing from here and paste it here. So I'm doing the same thing using the DI server extension. Now I need a reference of a COM DLL. So it's already added, so I'm not going to remove. I am adding the business DI server API version 8.82 here. So you can see if you want to use DI server interface, you have to add an interop SBODI underscore server. This is an interop to your DI server. Now DI server also needs a licensing server to be run. You can find the licensing server from your SAP Business One installation, and so there is server tool and there is service manager. I have already started this, and if I go here, you can see this is already running. Now if I go to settings, there are options to give you can configure the connection strings to have a minimum connection of 2 and maximum connection of 1000, say, and these can be parallel sessions that can be created on your server. There is a server log that when you create a session or do anything, a log is already created in your system, and it gets stored in here. So now let's close it. Now here you can see we have two text boxes that I have copied from my last example, and there is get items and feed items. Let's double click on them. So for DI server interfaces, you need to create a session. Now to create a session, this is the function. Now I need to take reference of SBODI server, and as I've already told you that DI server requires SOAP messaging. So this is a SOAP envelope. You can see env envelope is the XML standard for SOAP, and the namespace is provided here. So this is a SOAP envelope that you need to pass the data to log in to the system, and these data like database server, database name, database type, etc., that we are providing in the last example using a tightly coupled structured interface here with company. I can pass it as an XML data. So to log in, as I've told you that you have two interfaces with DI server. One is interact and one is another is batch interact. To log in, I can easily use the interact method because I am passing a single entity to the SAP Business One system. So when you log in, it will automatically validate your login credentials, and also it requires the licensing, so it will validate your license through this service that is installed with the SAP system, and then it will give you a response in XML format. And if the XML is, if the session is created successfully, it will give you a session ID, and you need to pass the session ID whenever you want to interact with the SAP system. Now, similar to the connect, you always need to disconnect whenever your interaction is over. So the same thing, it's also a SOAP envelope, and the basic thing that I need to pass is this DIS logout. So in the body of my login, I have passed DIS login with the login credentials. You can see it here. And in case of logout, you don't need to pass any credential. It's just the logout statement. And after a successful logout, you can reset the node and the session ID that I have created here as a global variable. Fair enough. Now let's add an item. So add an item goes to the feed item. So what I basically need to do is I need to create a session. Create a session means I need to log in. This is the create session. So I'm going to log in, and I'm going to create an item envelope at runtime. So here you go, you can see it's not tightly coupled interface that is provided with DI API, DI server, sorry. You can pass an object. O items is the object, business object that is maintained here as item master. So you can pass an O item as an object, object entity of an XML element object, and you can create an XML of all the items, then row, and you can specify multiple rows here, and all of them will be added when you call the batch interact method of SAP system, of DI server rather. Now in similar way, I can also write an envelope to get an item. To get an item, I can use the get by key element of the envelope, and I can pass the item code. So get by key means you need to pass the primary key, which is the item code of the table. So now you will get a list of all the items that is responded from the system using an interact method, and you can parse the XML and find the result. So if I run it, first of all I need to change the startup form to FRM DI server. Now if I run it, it will start up with the A4M DI server, and if I pass the same SAP B1 here and I get, you can see I got the item that I have inserted with API. In a similar way, if I say SAP B2 and I make it in sync, now if I feed that item, you can see the SAP, this is the XML response. I have put a message box, and you can see the data is already been added to the SAP system. So I can find the data directly from the SAP system. Which one? Okay. So you can see the in-sync is actually feed into the SAP system correctly. So if you want a little more explanation, it's actually it's actually creating a session and passing in a command, the XML formatted command to an interact or to a batch interact. In case of batch interact, you need to you can pass multiple rows, while in case of interact, you need to specify it in a single row. If you want the entire documentation, you can get it from here. It's inside your SAP Business One, you will find an SDK and SDK Help Center. This is the Help Center, and if you move here, you have the DI API documentation and the DI server documentation. If you search it, and you can find everything here. So let's go to slides. The final thing that we want to discuss is the BIWS, which is actually a IIS hosted service which you can host in IIS, which is actually a wrapper to DI server. So internally it actually connects with the DI server, and your everything that is related with the DI server, like the licensing and the COM interfaces, all are used here. The only thing that is required by BIWS is the IIS to be installed in your system, and it has a tool called WSDL Service Generator, which creates all the services for the interfaces that are provided with the DI server, and exposes through an IIS to the external world, so that you can connect to your BI to your SAP server from anywhere, even through internet. So now how it works, your IIS should be hosted on the same box where the SAP system is installed, and your IIS will be calling the DI server service and logically doing everything that it needs to be done through the normal calling of DI server, and it connects with the backend system. The tool that is used to generate this WSDL is the WSDL service generator, which creates all the services that is required to interact with the SAP system. Now what is the advantages? Advantages is the standard protocol HTTP is supported, so you can pass to a standard port called 80, and you can expose the port from anywhere and interact with from outside world. So no need to uh, host the same application inside your the same box. So you can have your third-party application anywhere outside the box where SAP is installed, and you can connect to through the WSDL standards. The only limitation that is there is what we already have with DI server is the licensing thing, and and you need to maintain the IIS hosting to the same box. Now I'll just quickly show you the tool that you need to use. So I have created this thing. I have already opened this one. So there is a documentation of Business One web services wrapper. This is a wrapper, and you can download it from here. This is a simple zip file which has a setup like this. And first of all, you need to configure your IIS to your system, and then you can run this setup and install it in your IIS. Once it is installed, you will find a WSDL service generator, and the service generator will create the web services. You need to specify the credentials, and once it get connected, you will see all the services that you need is listed over your default website. And depending on whether you want these service to be exposed outside, or you want to restrict to a local service, you can configure your IIS, and based on that the IIS system will respond. So this wraps up the session. So what we have learned from this session is how SAP DI server and how SAP DI API works exactly, and how you can create a simple application to connect to your business object and push or pull data to the SAP system. Now let's have your questions.
Thank you, Abhishek, for this excellent presentation. So as he mentioned, so we will now be moving toward the Q&A session, a short Q&A session, because we have only about 10 minutes left. So before moving, I have started just a poll regarding the DI server and the DI API, and which one you think is most effective. So if I conclude, so what I understood is that DI API is available free of cost within SAP Business One, but it is slow and it doesn't support batch operations. And what DI server supports, DI server is much faster in terms of performance. It can fetch data in a secure manner, and it supports the batch operation. It supports the bulk data addition, as well as it can fetch data in a bulk. But DI server comes up with a licensing requirement, so DI server will require additional license. So associated with this, I have another poll which I would like to launch. So I'd like to I also want your opinion on this poll as well. So if you can provide to us, and in the meantime the question pen is open, so if you have any question, kindly let us know so that we can start answering those questions. So a question came up that what is the price of DI server? So actually this you need to check with your SAP partners, because as you know, SAP Business One licensing price varies country to country. and in different country the pricing is different, so you need to check with your SAP partner regarding that. So I hope the question answers your call. So let us know if you have any more questions so that we can start answering your calls. So one question came up like is it possible to have integration application run outside the SAP installation system? So for this I would like to hand over to Abhishek.
Yes, as I've already demonstrated, it's exactly possible. You can use the IIS system to host your application, and from anywhere in the world you can connect to the IIS system and interact with the SAP Business One that is installed in the box. So it's possible, definitely.
Okay. Yep. Thank you, Abhishek, for this. So let us know if you have any more questions so that we can answer you on that. So we got a lot of questions. So much it's difficult to find out, but let me check one by one. One question regarding B1WS. B1WS is WSDL files are not complete. For example, O activities object is not provided. Question: can I generate the WSDL file for objects where B1WS has not provided them?
Yes, of course, you can write the APIs in a web application, and you can connect directly to the using the interact and batch interact, and you can pass the XML according to your need. So O activities, you need to write it yourself if it is not provided by the SAP system.
Okay, Abhishek, another question is, if I need to create an add-on within SAP B1, what is the best way, DI API or DI server?
Yeah, I think DI server is the best way because add-on performance will be much better if you use DI server.
Okay, another question I received, it's regarding again licensing. As I mentioned, DI server will require additional license, and regarding the price, you need to check with the local SAP partner, VAR, because pricing of the licenses varies country to country. So another question is, what type of application would be best suited for the DI server?
Yes, actually DI server can interact in batch. So if you have a need of passing a huge data in bulk, you can use DI server. It requires licensing, so if you can bear the cost, you can use DI server and pass pass data in a bulk.
Okay. Another question is the SDK needed for DI server?
No, SDK is not. SDK means you need the COM APIs, but SDK in general is not needed.
So another question is, instead of DI server, can't we use B1IF?
This is actually optional. You can use it.
Okay. If we have different SAP server and web server, and if we want to post business partner to SAP, when business partner added on my web portal, do I need to install license manager on web server?
Yes, of course. DI server uses the license manager to interact with the SAP system. So you need the license manager installed in the box where IIS is hosted, and in the application in the in your application, in third-party application, you can put it anywhere, and you don't need any licensing manager installed in your system. It should be there in the system where SAP is installed.
Okay. Another question is, what is better solution, UI API with DI API or UI API with DI server?
Of course, yeah, UI API with DI server, because DI server gives performance.
If I want to hide a particular screen area, is it possible through DI API or via which functionality? I think we are not clear to in understanding, because here we are talking about connecting SAP Business One with third-party systems. So hiding a screen or hiding a field is not related to DI API or DI server kind of tools. So I think our time is almost over. Differences for B1 HANA. So we are not sure what difference you want to understand.
HANA is actually a database only.
So HANA is actually a different database and a different database technology basically to provide a faster performance. But the integration tools or the techniques that we just discussed remain same with all SAP Business One installations. Another one is question is, if DI API doesn't support batch, what was the node.batch interact in the example in Visual Studio?
Node.batch interact is actually an interaction mechanism through DI server, not DI API. So in case of DI API, you need to create this strongly typed objects and pass the data sequentially.
Okay, so I think we are moving out for the time, so we need to close the sessions here, today's webinar session. So I'd like to thank all the attendees who witnessed the session today, where we have discussed and addressed this generic topic. So obviously the session will be recorded. This is also a lot of question I have I received today, that is the session will be recorded. So yes, this session is will be recorded, and we will send the video link to all the attendees. And also we would like to request you to follow our social media handles, like for Facebook, in Twitter as well, in Google Plus and LinkedIn. So all these handles in YouTube and as well as in Pinterest. So we'll publish the webinar video in YouTube soon, and we will pass on the link to all the attendees, as well as we'll pass on this presentation. We'll share this in SlideShare, and we will pass on this presentation to all the attendees, and even all the registrants who might be missed today, who might be missed today's session due to some reason. So we'll pass all the details to all of you, so that you can refer to it, and you can even share the link to your contacts. Thank you all. Hope you have enjoyed this session, and we will meet you soon with some other topics related to SAP Business One integration. Have a nice day.